Look, nobody becomes a diplomat because they're exciting. You become a diplomat because you're profoundly, aggressively boring. The kind of person who reads instruction manuals for fun and considers spicy to be a food group that should come with a warning label. That was Captain Jake Holloway, and that's exactly why the United Earth government picked him for humanity's first permanent posting on the Galactic Council's Harmony Station. Captain Holloway, the Admiral had said during his briefing, you are the most unremarkable human being we have ever psychological profiled. Your hobbies include filing taxes early and organizing your sock drawer by thread count. You once spent 3 hours explaining the difference between various types of screwdrivers to a date who never called you back. It was a very nuanced topic, Jake had replied. Exactly. You're perfect. Whatever you do, do not start an intergalactic incident. So naturally, Jake started an intergalactic incident approximately 47 minutes after docking. The problem waddled out of his shuttle in a cat carrier, meowing with the indignant tone of someone who'd been personally victimized by the concept of space travel. This is Mr. Whiskers, Jake announced to the reception committee, holding up the carrier. Inside, a rotund orange tabby cat glared at the universe with the existential disdain only a cat can achieve. He's my emotional support animal. The 3 aliens standing on the docking platform stared. Well, Commander Kirill stared with all 6 of his compound eyes. Security Chief Vorn didn't have eyelids, so he was technically always staring. Science Officer Lyra just waved a tentacle in confusion. You're emotional. Support? Krill's mandibles clicked nervously. He looked like someone had taken a praying mantis, made it the size of a human, and given it crippling anxiety. Captain Holloway, you appear to be a fully functional adult specimen. Why would you require emotional support? Because I'm about to spend 6 months on a space station with aliens I've never met, representing my entire species in formal diplomatic capacity. Jake set the carrier down. Look, it's in my contract. Paragraph 12, subsection C. The UEG psychologist said I needed him. Vorn, who resembled what would happen if a velociraptor hit the gym and developed an attitude problem, leaned closer to the carrier. His reptilian eyes narrowed. This creature provides you with emotional stability? He's very calming. From inside the carrier, Mr. Whiskers hissed. Fascinating, Lyra murmured. She floated closer, her translucent, jellyfish-like body pulsing with bioluminescent curiosity. Her 7 tentacles twitched as she pulled out a scanning device. Our records indicate Earth fauna operate on a symbiotic emotional exchange system. This is your bonded companion, yes? Like the Zorathian grief moss or the Peluvian comfort polyps? Sure, Jake said, because he had no idea what those were and didn't want to seem rude. He mostly just sleeps and judges me. Judges you? Quirrell's antennae flattened against his head. Is this a hierarchical dominance structure? Are you subordinate to this organism? I mean, kind of. He's a cat. The 3 aliens exchanged glances. We should process this creature through biosecurity protocols, Vorn announced, his crest flaring with official importance. Standard quarantine procedures for all non-sapient organisms entering Harmony Station. Fine by me. Jake picked up the carrier. Mr. Whiskers meowed again, this time with the tone of someone demanding to speak to a manager. Fair warning, though, he's not great with strangers. They proceeded to the security checkpoint, which looked like every airport security line Jake had ever suffered through, except with more blinking lights and less pretense of efficiency. Quill kept glancing at the carrier with his compound eyes, each cluster focused on a different angle of Mr. Whiskers, who had begun grooming himself with profound disinterest. Place the organism on the scanning platform, Vorn instructed, gesturing to a raised circle that hummed with energy. Jake opened the carrier. Mr. Whiskers, demonstrating the cat principle that cooperation is for dogs and losers, refused to exit. After 30 seconds of Jake trying to coax him out while 3 aliens watched with increasing concern, he simply tipped the carrier upside down. Mr. Whiskers tumbled onto the platform, landing on his feet because of course he did, and immediately sat down to continue grooming. Vorn activated the scanner. For approximately 2 seconds nothing happened. Then every alarm on the station started screaming. Red lights flooded the docking bay. Klaxons wailed in a frequency that Jake's teeth could feel. Holographic warning signs materialized in the air, displaying text in 47 languages, most of which translated roughly to, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Mr. Whiskers paused mid-lick, one leg stuck straight up in that position cats somehow find dignified, and looked around with mild irritation. Threat addicted, the station's AI announced in a voice that suggested it had just woken up to find a bomb in its bed. GAPX predator identified. Initiating containment protocols. What? Jake shouted over the noise. That's a cat. The scanner does not lie. Vorn had pulled out what looked like a gun designed by someone who'd only ever seen guns described in a fever dream. He aimed it at Mr. Whiskers with shaking claws. Step away from the bioweapon, human. Bioweapon? He's 15 pounds of anxiety and bad decisions. Lyra's tentacles were flying across her datapad, bioluminescent patterns flashing in what Jake was starting to recognize as alien panic. Commander, the bioscanner is reading, this cannot be correct. The threat assessment matrix is classifying this organism as a Class 7 planetary threat. What's Class 7? Jake asked. There is no Class 7, Krill whispered, all 6 eyes fixed on Mr. Whiskers in horror. We had to invent it, just now, for this. Mr. Whiskers, apparently deciding the floor wasn't comfortable enough, flopped onto his side and began purring. The sound rumbled through the docking bay like a malfunctioning engine. Vorn's crest went completely flat. It's charging its attack. That's purring. It means he's content. Content? Lyra's tentacles recoiled. It produces a subsonic warfare rumble when satisfied? What does it do when angered? Human meows louder. Mostly. The AI continued its helpful commentary. Warning, organism possesses retractable talons, enhanced night vision, hearing range exceeding station sensor capabilities, and a bite force ratio inconsistent with body mass. Confirming, this is the deadliest organism currently on Harmony Station. Deadlier than Vorn, Jake gestured at the heavily armed reptilian security chief. I am a trained warrior from a species with 300 years of military tradition, Vorn protested. This creature is registering as more dangerous than me. Look, just turn off the scanner. There's obviously a malfunction. The scanner has a 0.001% error rate, Lyra said, not looking up from her datapad. Her bioluminescence had shifted to a deep purple that Jake suspected meant scientifically fascinated, but also terrified. Captain, I'm accessing Earth's ecological database. Please explain why your planet's historical records indicate this species has caused the extinction of 63 separate species. Jake blinked. Okay, that's technically true, but 63. Krill's mandibles clicked so rapidly they blurred. Commander Vorn, why has this creature not been neutralized? I'm trying. Vorn fired his weapon. A net made of energy strands shot across the platform, passed directly over Mr. Whiskers, who hadn't moved, and embedded itself in the wall behind him. Mr. Whiskers yawned, displaying all of his teeth. IT has 4 types of teeth, the AI helpfully announced. Canines designed for puncturing. Carnations for shearing flesh. Incisors for gripping prey. He uses those teeth to eat kibble that costs 4 credits a pound. Jake was starting to lose his patience. Would everyone please calm down? Vorn fired again, this time a stasis field generator. It created a bubble of frozen time around Mr. Whiskers, who was now attempting to bite his own tail. The field lasted approximately 3 seconds before collapsing with a sad electronic whimper. How did it resist temporal stasis? Vorn's voice had gone up an octave. You didn't resist anything. He's just being a cat. Jake marched over to the platform and scooped up Mr. Whiskers, who went limp in that boneless way cats do, making himself somehow heavier through sheer passive resistance. See? Completely harmless. All 3 aliens took a step back. Captain Holloway, Krill said carefully, his antennae twitching. Are you aware that you're currently holding a biological killing machine approximately 6 inches from your primary breathing orifice? I'm aware I'm holding my cat, yes. Lyra's tentacles had been typing continuously, pulling up data that displayed on holographic screens around them. Jake caught glimpses, anatomical diagrams, hunting statistics, videos of cats doing cat things. One screen showed a cat knocking a glass off a counter. Another showed a cat squeezing into a box half its size. This is remarkable, Lyra breathed. The species demonstrates advanced problem-solving abilities, territorial behavior, and what appears to be deliberate psychological manipulation of larger species. She paused. Captain, can you explain this behavior? The organism repeatedly strikes objects off elevated surfaces. Our analysis suggests this is a dominance display, a threat. I can destroy your possessions at will, and you cannot stop me. He's just being a jerk. Cats are jerks. So you admit it exhibits aggressive antisocial behavior. No. Yes. Look, it's complicated. Mr. Whiskers chose that moment to headbutt Jake's chin, then immediately bite his thumb. Not hard. Just a little, I'm done being held now bite. Bourne's weapon charged with an ominous whine. Do not shoot my cat. Commander Quill, Lyra said, her tone taking on the careful precision of someone delivering very bad news. I recommend we initiate quarantine protocols and convene an emergency session of the Galactic Council. I believe humanity may have attempted to smuggle a biological weapon onto Harmony Station, disguised as a comfort animal. It's not a weapon, it's a cat. A regular normal Earth cat. All three aliens stared at him. Captain Holloway, Krill said quietly. Perhaps that is precisely the problem. Within 20 minutes, Jake found himself standing in the station's main conference room, still holding Mr. Whiskers, facing a holographic assembly of the Galactic Council. 17 species, represented by flickering blue projections, all staring at him with whatever passed for alarm in their respective anatomies. Mr. Whiskers had fallen asleep in Jake's arms, snoring softly. Somehow this made everything worse. Order! Order! The council speaker, a floating gas cloud creature named Whirl, pulsed with authoritative colors. This emergency session will come to order. Captain Holloway of Earth, you stand accused of violating the Biological Warfare Prohibition Act of Galactic Year 3847. I brought a cat to work. That's not biological warfare. The evidence suggests otherwise, Whirl announced. A massive holographic display materialized, showing Mr. Whiskers' scan results in excruciating detail. Your creature registered as an apex predator with cross-species hunting capabilities. Because he is. That's what cats are. That's the whole thing about cats. A delegate from Peluvex, who looked like a large hamster in formal robes, raised a trembling paw. I wish to present evidence from my own world. This is our apex predator. The hologram shifted to show a creature that looked like a rabbit. A slightly chubby rabbit, with flowers in its fur. The dread floof, the Peluvian delegate announced gravely, can consume an entire garden in a single night. Our ancestors lived in fear of its appetite. Jake stared. That's a bunny. A what? A rabbit. We have those on Earth. Children keep them as pets. The conference room went silent. 17 species processed this information with varying degrees of horror. A crystalline being from Zenthros spoke next, their voice chiming like wind through glass. Perhaps the Council would benefit from understanding Zenthros' most fearsome hunter. The hologram changed to show something that looked like a caterpillar, wearing armor plating. The Stonecrawler. It can crush shells with its mandibles. We have those too, Jake said flatly. We call them beetles. They live in our gardens. Some people think they're cute. Cute. The Zenthrosian's crystalline structure flickered with confusion. This is a predator that has evolved defensive armor and crushing power. Yeah, and my cat eats them for fun. More silence. Lyra, who'd been standing off to the side with her datapad, cleared her throat. Well, the tentacled equivalent. Council members, I have compiled additional evidence regarding this organism's behavior. May I present Exhibit A? The hologram shifted to security footage from the docking bay. It showed Mr. Whiskers, during his brief unsupervised period, stalking across the floor toward a small mechanical cleaning drone. The footage played in slow motion. The crouch, the wiggle, the pounce. Note the hunting behavior, Lyra narrated like she was presenting a nature documentary about serial killers. The creature enters a stalking posture, calculating trajectory and timing. The posterior oscillation you see here, what Captain Holloway calls the wiggle, is actually a biomechanical preparation, tensing muscles for maximum explosive force. Then, the strike. On screen, Mr. Whiskers jumped on the cleaning drone, bit it once, then walked away. And here, Lyra continued, we see the creature demonstrating that it killed not for sustenance but for sport, for pleasure. It neutralized a target and simply left. That's a Roomba. He thought it was a toy. A toy? Krill's mandibles clicked nervously. You're saying this creature practices hunting on simulated prey? It trains? No. Yes, maybe. Look, cats just do that. Whirl pulsed with an ominous red color. Captain Holloway, I'm afraid you're not helping your case. Let's proceed to Exhibit B. The hologram changed to show Jake's personal data file, specifically the section about Earth's ecosystem. Lists of animals scrolled past. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, grizzly bears, saltwater crocodiles, great white sharks, Box jellyfish, hippos, Cape buffalo. These are all organisms from your planet, Worrell stated. Many of them are larger and more overtly dangerous than your cat, yet you chose the cat as your emotional support animal. Please explain this logic. Jake shifted Mr. Whiskers to his other arm. The cat made a disgruntled noise but didn't wake up. Because the others won't fit in an apartment? So you're admitting these other creatures are too dangerous to coexist with in close quarters? No, yes. Look, humans have different relationships with different animals. Some we domesticated, some we just leave alone, some we swim with for fun. Every holographic delegate recoiled simultaneously. You swim, the Peluvian delegate said slowly. With predators? Voluntarily? Well, yeah, sharks mostly leave you alone if you don't bother them. Sharks, Lyra repeated, her tentacles flying across her datapad. Large aquatic predators with multiple rows of teeth designed for— Oh. Her bioluminescence went a color Jake had never seen before. Probably bad. Captain, your planet has over 400 species of shark? Sounds about right. And humans enter their habitat recreationally? It's called surfing. Very popular. Vorn, who'd been standing guard by the door, spoke up. Let me understand this correctly. Your species voluntarily enters the territory of apex predators for entertainment? When you put it that way, it sounds weird. How else would I put it? Look, Earth is we have a lot of dangerous stuff, okay? You learn to live with it. You respect it. Sometimes you befriend it. Jake held up Mr. Whiskers, who chose that moment to wake up, stretch, and yawn enormously. This is what we consider a safe, domesticated companion animal. He sits on my lap. He purrs. He makes me feel better after a long day. The Galactic Council stared at the yawning cat, at his impressive teeth, at his extending claws as he stretched. Captain Holloway, Worrell said carefully, if this is what your species considers a comfort animal, something to make you feel safe and calm, what exactly are you afraid of on Earth? Jake opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Oh my various gods, Krill whispered, all 6 eyes widening. We've made a terrible mistake. We're designed specifically. What mistake? Jake asked. We approved Earth's application to join the Galactic Council, thinking you were a normal species. Krill's antennae drooped. We should have investigated further. We should have asked questions. We should have— He fainted. Just straight up collapsed in a heap of chitinous limbs. Worrell pulsed frantically. Medical team to conference room Alpha, and someone get that human and his weapon, cat, into quarantine. This is ridiculous, Jake shouted. Mr. Whiskers meowed in agreement. Or possibly hunger. With cats it was always hard to tell. Quarantine, as it turned out, meant a very nice suite with a bed, a bathroom, and a window overlooking the endless void of space. Also, 4 security cameras, a reinforced door, and Vorn standing guard outside, with enough weapons to invade a small moon. Mr. Whiskers immediately made himself at home by ignoring the expensive alien pet bed they'd provided, and sleeping on Jake's pillow instead. Of course you did, Jake muttered. 3 hours into quarantine, Lyra arrived with a cart full of scientific equipment, and the determined expression of someone about to prove a theory that would make her career. Captain Holloway, I need your permission to conduct some tests on your companion. Tests? What kind of tests? Non-invasive observational analysis. I want to understand this creature's capabilities. Her tentacles arranged instruments with practiced efficiency. The Council has given me 48 hours to compile a comprehensive threat assessment before they vote on humanity's status. You're going to let a cat decide if humans get kicked out of the Galactic Council? A cat that your planet considers domesticated and safe, yes. Lyra pulled out a scanner. If this is your baseline for acceptable cohabitation, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Jake sighed. Fine. But he's not going to cooperate. Cats don't do anything they don't want to do. We'll see about that. Narrator voice, she would not see about that. Lyra started with physical measurements. She approached Mr. Whiskers with her scanner extended, moving slowly. Mr. Whiskers watched her with the calculation of a poker player holding aces. The moment the scanner got within 6 inches, he batted it away with one paw. Fascinating, Lyra murmured, retrieving the scanner from across the room. Lightning-fast reflexes, precise strike accuracy. Did you see how he calculated the trajectory? He didn't want the weird thing near his face. That's not calculation, that's cat. I disagree, Lyra made notes on her datapad. Let's test the retractable claws next. She pulled out what looked like a piece of fabric and dangled it in front of Mr. Whiskers. He stared at it. She waved it. He continued staring. She waved it more enthusiastically. Mr. Whiskers turned his head and looked away, the universal cat gesture for, "I have no idea what you're doing and I'm embarrassed for you." "He's not interested," Jake offered. "Try something else." Lyra produced a small toy from her cart, a feathered thing on a string. She dragged it across the floor. Mr. Whiskers' pupils dilated to satellite dishes. His haunches wiggled, and then he pounced, claws fully extended, grabbing the toy and bunny-kicking it with his back legs like it had insulted his mother. "There!" Lyra's bioluminescence flashed bright green with excitement. The predatory strike. 6 individual claws per paw, each razor-sharp, each capable of retracting completely into the digit for stealth movement. She was typing frantically. And that kicking motion? He's disemboweling his prey. He's playing with a toy. He's practicing killing techniques. Lyra zoomed in with her scanner as Mr. Whiskers continued his assault on the feather toy. Look at the precision, the controlled violence. This is a trained killer maintaining his skill set. Mr. Whiskers, apparently satisfied with his victory over the feathered menace, released it and walked away to groom himself. "And now he's grooming," Lyra continued, "removing evidence of the kill from his claws and fur. Brilliant. Or he's just cleaning himself because cats are clean animals. Captain, I'm reading his claw composition, keratin-based, similar to our own biological materials, but the curvature and sharpness index is remarkable. These aren't just claws. These are surgical instruments that can be deployed or concealed at will." She paused. "How often does he sharpen them?" Whenever he feels like it, usually on my couch." "Your furniture." Lyra's tentacles froze mid-tub. "He damages your territorial markers and you tolerate this? I mean, I don't love it, but... This is a dominance display. He's demonstrating that he can destroy your possessions and you're powerless to stop him." Lyra was getting excited now, in that way scientists do when they think they've discovered something terrible. "What else does he do?" "I don't know. Cat stuff. He sleeps like 18 hours a day, knocks things off tables, yells at me for food, sits in boxes." "Boxes?" Lyra seized on this. "Show me." Jake pulled up his phone, thankfully Earth technology was compatible with the station's systems, and found a photo of Mr. Whiskers crammed into a shoebox, looking deeply satisfied with himself. Lyra studied the image for a long moment. The container is clearly too small for his body mass. "Yeah, that's the thing with cats, if they fits, they sits." "He's testing enclosures," Lyra said quietly, "determining what spaces he can infiltrate, which vessels he can hide in." She looked up at Jake with wide, color-shifting eyes. "Captain, does he do this with multiple containers?" "All containers. Boxes, bags, baskets, drawers. If it exists, he will sit in it. He's casing them, mapping the environment, identifying tactical positions." Lyra's tentacles were typing at hyperspeed now. "And the knocking things off surfaces. Just being annoying, mostly. Or testing gravity, physics, and cause and effect relationships. Observing how objects fall, how humans react. Learning the parameters of his environment through experimentation." Lyra pulled up the security footage from earlier. "Look at this. Last night, your companion was observed moving through the station corridors." The footage showed Mr. Whiskers padding through an empty hallway at 3 a.m, pausing occasionally to sniff corners, rub his face against walls, and investigate a potted plant. He was just exploring. Cats are curious. And was marking territory with scent glands located in his facial area and gathering intelligence on station layout. Lyra zoomed in on Mr. Whiskers investigating the plant. And here, he's analyzing our botany for possible toxicity or utility. On screen, Mr. Whiskers bit a leaf, made a disgusted face, and walked away. "See?" Jake said. He didn't like it. Not everything is a conspiracy. Or he determined it was inedible and moved on to assess other resources. Lyra turned to face Jake directly. "Captain, I need to test his sensory capabilities, specifically hearing range and night vision." "Knock yourself out." Lyra produced a device that emitted sounds at various frequencies. Most of them Jake couldn't hear. But Mr. Whiskers could. His ears swiveled like radar dishes, tracking sounds from across the room, through the walls, probably from the corridor outside. "His hearing range extends well beyond human capabilities," Lyra noted. "He can detect frequencies up to 64 kilohertz. Your species caps at around 20. Yeah, cats have good hearing, it's not exactly classified information." "And the night vision?" Lyra dimmed the lights until the room was nearly pitch black. Jake could barely see his own hands, but he could see Mr. Whiskers' eyes glowing in the darkness. watching them with perfect clarity. Lyra's bioluminescence provided the only other light. His tapetum lucidum reflects light back through the retina, maximizing photon absorption. He can see in light levels 6 times lower than human baseline. She made more notes. Captain, this organism is a near-perfect nocturnal hunter with sensory capabilities far exceeding your own. And you sleep in the same room with him? Every night. Doesn't that terrify you? Jake looked at Mr. Whiskers, who had curled up in a patch of moonlight from the window, his paws tucked under his chest, purring softly. Lyra, I'm going to tell you something that might blow your mind. He's just a cat. A regular, normal cat. And yeah, cats are hunters. They're predators, that's what they are. But they're also companions, friends. They chose to live with us, and we chose to take care of them. Not everything is a threat assessment. Lyra was quiet for a moment, her colors shifting through patterns Jake couldn't interpret. Captain, she said finally, I think that's precisely what frightens us. Your species looks at a perfect killing machine and sees a friend. The council reconvened the next morning, and this time they'd invited reinforcements. The holographic chamber was packed with species Jake had never seen before. Military advisors, xenobiologists, even what appeared to be a galactic insurance adjuster taking nervous notes. Jake stood in the center with Mr. Whiskers in his arms. The cat was awake now, alert, tracking all the movement and holographic flickers with predatory focus. To the council, it probably looked like tactical assessment. To Jake, it looked like a cat trying to figure out if the floating projections were things he could chase. Captain Holloway, Whirl pulsed with official solemnity. We have reviewed Science Officer Lyra's comprehensive report on your companion organism. The evidence is damning. It's a cat. It is a biological weapon, with retractable claws, night vision capabilities, hearing that exceeds station sensor arrays, and a documented history of driving 63 species to extinction on your homeworld. Whirl's colors darkened. Furthermore, you have admitted that this creature regularly damages your possessions, marks territory throughout your living space, and conducts nocturnal reconnaissance missions. He scratches the couch, rubs his face on stuff, and wanders around at night because he's bored. The Galactic Council has reached a preliminary decision, Whirl continued. You have 48 hours to remove this creature from Harmony Station, or humanity's application for council membership will be revoked. We cannot risk... Oh, for crying out loud! Jake's patience, already stretched thinner than coffee shop Wi-Fi, finally snapped. You want to kick humanity out because you're afraid of a house cat? Do you have any idea how insane that sounds? Captain, please moderate your... No! You know what? I'm done moderating. I'm done being diplomatic. You want to know about Earth? Fine, let's talk about Earth. Jake set Mr. Whiskers down on the platform. The cat immediately began grooming his butt. Because of course he did. You're right. This is what we consider a safe comfort animal. You know what else humans do for fun? We domesticated wolves. Wolves. We took apex predators with pack hunting strategies and genetic murder instincts and turned them into creatures that wear sweaters and fetch tennis balls. The council chamber went very quiet. We keep snakes as pets. Snakes. Reptiles that can unhinge their jaws and swallow prey whole. Some of them are venomous. We keep them in glass boxes in our bedrooms and name them Steve. A delegate from Traxxas 7, who resembled an upright starfish, made a sound like a deflating balloon. We swim with sharks for recreational purposes. We dive in cages to get closer to them. Some humans surf, that's riding waves on a board, in waters where great whites hunt, for entertainment. Surely you're exaggerating, the Peluvian delegate squeaked. Am I? Let me tell you about Australia. That's a continent where literally everything is trying to kill you. Spiders the size of dinner plates, jellyfish that can stop your heart with a touch, crocodiles that ambush from rivers, snakes, so many snakes, dozens of species venomous enough to kill a human in hours. And you know what humans did? We built cities there. We go to the beach there. We have barbecues there. Jake was pacing now, Mr. Whiskers watching him with vague interest. Ha! You want scary? Earth has bears. Grizzly bears weigh 800 pounds of muscle, claws, and bad attitude. Polar bears are bigger and hunt seals through Arctic ice. And sometimes, very rarely, humans try to take selfies with them. Weigh? Krill, who'd recovered from his fainting spell, asked in genuine horror. Because humans are idiots. We're curious. We see something dangerous and think, yeah, but what if I pet it, though? Jake threw his hands up. We have hippopotamuses. Hippos! They look adorable and goofy, and they kill more humans per year than almost any other animal in Africa. They're territorial murder machines disguised as river horses, and we put them in zoos so children can look at them. Vorn's crest had gone completely flat. Your planet sounds like a death world. It is a death world. We have plants that can kill you. The castor bean plant produces ricin. The oleander is toxic if you so much as burn it and breathe the smoke. There's a tree in Australia, because of course it's Australia, called the gimpy gimpy, and if you touch it you'll be in agonizing pain for months. Months. Some people who've touched it have... Jake caught himself. Okay, that one's actually pretty bad, but my point stands. He pointed at Mr. Whiskers, who had abandoned grooming and was now attacking his own tail. This is what we need to feel safe. A small predator that occasionally murders local wildlife and knocks our stuff off shelves. Because compared to everything else on Earth, he's adorable and harmless. You're scared of a 15-pound cat? We have big cats. Lions, tigers, jaguars, leopards. Some of them weigh 500 pounds and can drag prey twice their size up into trees. And we love them. We put them in nature documentaries. We drive through their habitats in open vehicles taking pictures. The council was completely silent now. Even Whirl had stopped pulsing. You talk about threat assessments? We invented extreme sports. Humans throw themselves off cliffs with parachutes. We climb mountains where the air is too thin to breathe properly. We explore caves that might collapse. We invented bull riding. That's sitting on a 2,000-pound animal specifically bred for aggression and trying not to die for 8 seconds. Some humans hunt bears with bows and arrows. Way? This from the crystalline Xanthrosian delegate who sounded genuinely distressed. Because it's there. Because we're bored. Because someone said you can't do that and humans took it as a challenge. Jake was fully ranting now. Months of diplomatic restraint pouring out in a flood of exasperation. You want to know what humans are afraid of? We're afraid of social awkwardness. We're afraid of public speaking. We're afraid of calling to make a doctor's appointment. We evolved on a planet actively trying to murder us, and the thing that scares us most is having to make small talk with strangers. Whiskers meowed loudly, either in support or demanding dinner. Hard to say. So, yeah, this is my emotional support animal. This apex predator that you're all terrified of. He helps me stay calm when I'm stressed. Because where I come from, a small cat that sometimes bites me when I stop petting him is the least of my concerns. Jake finally stopped, breathing hard, realizing he'd just shouted at the entire Galactic Council for 5 straight minutes. Whirl pulsed a color that might have been respect, or existential dread, possibly both. Captain Holloway, the council speaker said slowly, are you saying that Earth is so inherently dangerous that you've developed psychological coping mechanisms to manage the stress of simply existing there? I mean, when you put it that way, yeah, kind of. And this cat helps with that, yes. The council delegates looked at each other. Then they looked at Mr. Whiskers, who had given up on his tail and was now licking his paw. The Peluvian delegate raised his paw tentatively. So if this is your therapy animal, what else might humans bring to the station? For therapy? Jake thought about it. Well, my colleague Dr. Peterson has a dog. Krill fainted again. It took 20 minutes to revive Krill, another 10 to convince him that Jake wasn't joking about the dog, and approximately 30 seconds after that for Vorn to excuse himself to check perimeter security, while muttering something about updating his resume. The council chamber had devolved into chaos. Delegates were arguing in 17 different languages, colors pulsing, tentacles flailing, mandibles clicking. The galactic insurance adjuster had given up on notes and was just staring into the middle distance, probably recalculating humanity's risk assessment premium. Through it all, Mr. Whiskers sat on the platform, calmly washing his face. Whirl finally managed to restore order by pulsing a bright authoritative gold. Enough! This is a council session, not a panic room. The speaker rotated to face Jake. Captain Holloway, the council needs to deliberate. Please return to your quarters. Fine. Come on, Mr. Whiskers. Jake bent down to pick up his cat. Mr. Whiskers, demonstrating the perfect cat principle of you can't tell me what to do, walked away from Jake's reaching hands and headed straight toward Lyra, who'd been observing quietly from the side. The science officer froze, all 7 tentacles going rigid, as 15 pounds of orange cat approached her with obvious intent. Captain, control your... Mr. Whiskers reached Lyra and head-butted her tentacle. Just a gentle bonk, the kind cats do when they've decided you're acceptable. Then he did it again, purring loud enough for the whole chamber to hear. Lyra stared down at him. Her bioluminescence cycled through confused patterns. Blue, green, purple, back to blue. What? What is he doing? He likes you, Jake said, trying not to smile. That's how cats show affection. He's bunting you. Bunting? Rubbing his scent glands on you, marking you as safe, as his. Jake walked over and successfully retrieved his cat this time. It means he trusts you. Lyra's tentacles trembled slightly. I spent 6 hours yesterday documenting his predatory capabilities and calling him a biological weapon. Yeah, well, he's also a very good boy who can tell when someone's stressed. Jake scratched behind Mr. Whisker's ears. You've been working non-stop for 2 days, haven't you? He noticed. That's not... Lyra's colors shifted to something soft, almost warm. That's actually quite thoughtful. That's the point of therapy animals. They help. Jake held Mr. Whiskers up so they were eye level. This is what you've all been missing. Yeah, he's a predator. Yeah, he's got claws and teeth and instincts older than human civilization. But he's also capable of love and companionship and knowing when someone needs a friendly headbutt. One of Lyra's tentacles reached out hesitantly, gently touching Mr. Whiskers's head. The cat leaned into it, purring harder. Oh, Lyra said softly. Oh, that's actually very soothing. Right. The vibrations are rhythmic, calming, and his fur is surprisingly soft for something that should be protective armor. Another tentacle joined the first, carefully stroking. I understand now. This is actually quite pleasant. Science Officer Lyra, Whirl interrupted. Please step away from the weapon, the cat, the organism. In a moment. Lyra was now using 3 tentacles to pet Mr. Whiskers, who had gone completely limp with contentment. I need to gather more data on this phenomenon. That's not research, that's petting. It's participant observation, Lyra said, but she didn't stop. The council watched this exchange in stunned silence. Finally, the Peluvian delegate spoke up, his voice much quieter than before. Perhaps we've been approaching this incorrectly. Explain, Whirl demanded. Well, we've spent 48 hours analyzing this creature as a threat, but Captain Holloway makes a valid point. His entire species evolved alongside organisms we would classify as nightmare fuel. They developed relationships with them. Partnerships. The delegate's whiskers twitched thoughtfully. Maybe the question isn't whether humans are dangerous for having such companions. Maybe it's whether we've been too isolated, too comfortable to understand what true companionship means. That's the most hippie thing I've heard all day, Jake muttered. But sure, let's go with that. I vote we allow the human and his companion to remain, the Peluvian delegate announced. If this is humanity's idea of emotional support, then clearly they need it more than we initially understood. Seconded, Lyra said immediately, still petting Mr. Whiskers. Thirded, came a gruff voice from the doorway. Vorn had returned, though he stayed near the exit. I've been reviewing Earth's military history. If their therapy animals are this capable, I don't want to know what their actual warriors are like. Better to have them as allies. The vote proceeded quickly after that. 13 in favor, 3 abstaining, 1 against. The insurance adjuster, for obvious professional reasons. Motion carries, Whirl announced, pulsing with what might have been relief. Captain Holloway and his companion may remain on Harmony Station. However, we will need to establish new guidelines for Earth fauna. And Captain? Yeah, about that dog you mentioned. Dr. Peterson's golden retriever? Jake grinned. Oh, you're gonna love Biscuit. She's 60 pounds of enthusiasm and she thinks everyone is her best friend. She also drools a lot. Kirill made a small whimpering sound. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Whirl said diplomatically. For now, welcome officially to the Galactic Council, humanity. Try not to give us any more heart attacks, or the equivalent thereof. No promises, Jake said cheerfully. He finally pried Mr. Whiskers away from Lyra, who looked genuinely disappointed. Come on, buddy. Let's get you some dinner. As they headed for the door, Jake heard Lyra behind him, speaking quietly to Krill. And I was wondering, do you think Captain Holloway might let me visit with his companion? For research purposes. You want to pet the cat again? For research purposes, Lyra insisted. Jake smiled. They'd get there eventually. Give it a week, and half the station would be sneaking Mr. Whiskers treats and baby-talking at him when they thought no one was watching. That's just what cats did. They showed up, judged you, murdered your local ecosystem, and then somehow convinced you to worship them anyway. He was halfway down the corridor when his communicator buzzed. A message from Dr. Peterson back on Earth. Hey Jake, how's it going? Station ready for me yet? Biscuit's excited for her big trip, also bringing my emotional support tarantula. Her name is Princess Fluffybottom. See you in 3 weeks. Jake stopped walking, read the message again, looked down at Mr. Whiskers. We should probably warn them about the spider, right? Mr. Whiskers meowed. Yeah, you're right. Where's the fun in that? Behind them, from the council chamber, came the sound of Krill feigning for the 3rd time that day. Jake figured that was probably a new station record. He'd have to bring it up at the next diplomatic dinner, right after he submitted his formal request for shore leave. That vacation to Earth was sounding better and better. Maybe he'd take the council delegates with him, show them a real beach, the one in Florida, with all the alligators. That'd be educational. Mr. Whiskers purred in agreement, and together they headed home.